Hello, my name is Michael Woods and you're watching LoopTV.
Kat here for LoopTV in Brighton, and we're catching up with Michael Woods. How are you doing?
Hello, Kat. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm really, really well. Welcome to my nan's living room.
It's a very nice living room. I'll have to come back again sometime.
You're welcome anytime. Now you're down in Brighton to do a gig at Digital, and shortly about to go off touring with Deadmau5.
Yeah, exactly. I've been at Digital before. It's a really good club, really good crowd. And yeah, really looking forward to doing a tour with Deadmau5. We've got Brighton Academy coming up next week, and then after that we're touring around the UK. We got Glasgow, Hull, then across to Liverpool, so it's going to be quite full on. And I know the crowd, Deadmau5 gigs are really good, so I'm really pleased to be a part of it. Do you know what I mean? So. And
then of course you've got a residency, Cream, Amnesia, this summer out in Ibiza.
Yeah, only like my favourite club in the whole world. I went there, first time I went there was about 10 years ago, and I always remember it because it was the first place that I heard one of my first ever productions being dropped in front of like 5,000 people. It's like, you know, the best experience I've ever had in the world. So that club to me has always held a special place in my heart.
What tune was it?
Warrior, by Warrior. So that was the first ever production I did. So that was the first time I actually heard it played out, which was, you know, as you can imagine, was amazing.
Let's talk about how it all started for you. I mean, you were classically trained. Your father's musical, and you play just about everything. You play keyboards, you play guitar.
Quite a few, yeah.
How did you resist the urge to become a one-man band?
What, with the older cymbals in between my knees and all that kind of stuff?
Come on, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've seen people do it. They don't seem to be very rich though, so that kind of put me off.
Okay.
But so I decided to go down the other route, which was going to bring me a bit more income. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it kind of started off. My dad's a music teacher, and he's always taught myself and my sister the music from when we were little babies. You know what I mean? So it's not something that I thought I'd ever take on as a professional job, because it's always quite a hard thing to get into. Do you know what I mean? Get into music and making a successful living out of it. So I didn't actually think I was going to do that, but I kind of just fell into it not by mistake, but just I wasn't really looking to get into it, and I met a guy, a producer called Matt Derry, and he was actually dating my sister at the time, which is how I met him. And I was in the studio one day and just playing around on his keyboard while he was in the kitchen eating his dinner or whatever it was, and he just ran in thinking, he said, "Oh, what's that riff you played? Play it again." So I played it again, and we made a tune out of that, and actually went top 40. So it just kind of all went from there, really.
And what was that first sort of studio setup like? What did you have in there? Go on.
Do I really have to say?
You really have to say. It doesn't matter if it was like a Bontempi organ and tambourine.
One on cold. No, it was... well, actually, the first kind of studio thing that I had going on was at my college, and it was like a really basic... I mean, you're going back like 10, 15 years now. I show my age now, but it was like an Atari, and it was like some... Actually, it was an Atari and a Korg M1, so it wasn't too bad. And then my first actual studio setup personal was just a PC running an Akai sampler. So a bit ancient now, but you know, it got me through it. So
no, absolutely. Tell us about your studio now.
It's not crazy, you know. It's quite basic, but I've got like a digital desk, a digital Mackie desk. I've got Pro Tools HD2, which is a nice setup. A Mac running Logic. So it's a nice setup, and I'll get out of it what I want. So I believe, you know, it's not really what you got, it's how you use it. Do you know what I mean? So I know the thing is, I'm so accustomed to my system, and you can get pretty much anything you want out of it. So I'm quite happy with what I've got. As
many other producers have done, you've started your own label. Tell me about how that was for you, the sort of process, how you decided to do it, and the actual process of kick-starting that for yourself.
Well, it kind of started when all my life I've signed tracks to other companies, and the thing is, when you do that, you lose 80% of the copyright immediately. So it was kind of getting to the point where I wanted to retain that copyright and also control exactly what I did with the music. And so the obvious thing was to set my own label up, which is what I did about a year and a half ago now. So yeah, I mean, it's gone all right. You know, the hardest thing at the beginning was obviously come up with a good name. So I did that whilst walking the dog, as I get all my good inspiration. And yeah, I mean, it's been all right. You know, we've signed a few tracks, we've got a few artists on board, and you know, things are ticking away nicely.
And in terms now, because obviously you've got the label, you're producing your own music, you're collaborating and you're remixing and you're DJing. How do you sort of, your time management?
Yeah, that's quite a tricky one. I mean, because I've got management, they look after a lot of my time. But yeah, it's just about a matter of, you know, allocating a certain amount of time to whatever you want to do, you know, because every month I have a meeting with my management and we sort out what we're going to do, the plan for the month kind of thing. So it all kind of works in the end. But
do you think sort of an artist like yourself finding a good sort of management team has been a key thing to making what you do sort of more successful?
Yeah, totally, yeah. Because, I mean, I've been doing this for like 10 years and I think I've reached as far as I can go without management, because I always said to myself, I know everybody I need to know. I don't need anyone looking after me. That was my attitude, and I think probably that's why I was going a bit wrong, because I could only get so far on my own, because it does take a lot. It does take a team of people to really help you get to the higher levels. And now I'm working with these guys at 360. Yeah, they're really good. They know what they're doing, and you know, it's really helping my career excel.
Are there any producers, production teams out there whose work that you really currently admire?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, one that stands out obviously is the Swedish House Mafia. I mean, those guys are on fire as always. Do you know what I mean? And I met one of them the other day. I met Layback Luke, and you know, he was telling me how he produces tracks. He produces tracks in 4 hours, which like blew my mind, because it takes me a good like couple of days. Do you know what I mean? To really get a track down. But those guys, you know, they've really got it going on. So I really look up to those guys and listen to what they're doing.
And what about future collaborations?
Future collabs? Well, like I said before, hopefully with Chris Lake, the follow-up, Krispy Kremes, as I already mentioned. And possibly, I was talking to Tiesto actually, and he's interested in doing a collaboration. So that's probably one on the cards for maybe like early July, something like that. And hopefully with Deadmau5 as well later on in the year. So we'll just see how things go.
Everything's changing very rapidly at the moment in terms of distribution and revenue streams and how people are managing themselves. How do you sort of see it going in the next sort of 5-10 years?
Well, I think people are downloading music and they're never going to stop. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of sales from actual music itself, I think that's on the downer. But ticket sales are up, so I think as an artist, if you want to make money out of it, is to do the tracks and make sure they're good tracks. But the income won't come from the sale of the record; it's going to come from performing live, because people are going to hear your music. They're going to probably download it for free. They're going to get it somehow, but then they're going to want to see you perform live. And I think that's where it's at.
Do you feel that essentially, though, that this will lead to artists sort of being more empowered in terms of developing their career and taking ownership of their music?
Probably yes, to a certain extent. But the thing is, when you to a certain level, because if you want to get beyond a particular level, you do need a lot of investment from because at the end of the day, to put tracks out, you need a bit of money. And so I think as an individual artist, you can only go so far. You do need backing, but then if you've got talent and people recognise that talent, there'll be no problem getting that investment. Do you know what I mean? So.
And what about the future for you in terms of your sort of personal, professional development? Where do you want? We've talked about you performing stuff live. Are there any other dreams or aspirations in the coming few years?
Yeah, I mean, my aspiration is to be able to play live. Do you know what I mean? I've always wanted to have a headline a massive event like Creamfield. Do you know what I mean? And get the whole setup and play live, because, like I said, I've been doing music all my life. So why not? It'll go to waste unless I'm out there performing. So that's kind of where I'm at. Maybe in the next 2 years, 3 years, possibly. So that's what my dream is. So I'm getting there slowly but surely.
You gotta have a dream. Even Michael Woods has got to have a dream. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Have a fantastic gig tonight.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Kat, for LoopTV.